go.
Okay, so how many of you guys know someone who was diagnosed with lymphoma? No one, that's good. I wanted to write about lymphoma mainly because my friend's little brother was diagnosed, and he is, I'm gonna say 7 or 8, so he's like a really young case. But last year, she was helping out with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and she raised over $27,000 for the foundation just by doing fundraisers around our school and in the community. And I just thought it was interesting to learn about it. And one person every 5 minutes in the United States is diagnosed with a blood cancer. And so I wanted to talk about this because it is one of the most common types of cancer, and it affects so many young people, and it is a hard topic to talk about. But I wanted to bring it up in case anybody was wondering about any of the options if you do get diagnosed and what treatments are out there. And so I will be talking about what lymphoma is, what the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society does, or who they are, and then what are some treatment options for lymphoma. So what is lymphoma? There are 2 different types, which is the Hodgkin's lymphoma and the non-Hodgkin's type. The only difference between them is kind of where it forms. So like a lot of them start in the like lymph nodes of your body, so like armpits, throat areas. And according to Fu Oncology Letters 2018, there are it is one of the more like treatable types of cancer, especially because there is a 95% survival rate if it gets treated early. And I'm totally blanking out, I'm so sorry. From Brockelheim, Dutch Ozerblot International 2018, it talks about the different types of lymphoma and how there are 2 to 3 cases in every 100,000 people, and how even though it is like a cancer that is increasing in patient numbers, it's still very treatable, and about 95% of people survive after the 5-year rate of being diagnosed. And then, so now that we learned what lymphoma is, who is the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and what do they do? From Charity Navigator, there's no author or date on that, but it talked about how they started in Plainfield, New York, in 1949, and their main goals are to help out with lymphoma, leukemia, melanoma cancer, and for also just comforting those who have it and making their lives a little bit easier through the process of being diagnosed. And according to, there's no author or date for this, but the Leukemia and Lymphoma website, there is more than $1.2 billion that they have put towards research, and that is during different radiation types, different chemotherapies, and just other ways to help people out. And because of the money that they have donated, their 5-year survival rate has tripled. Even though there is a 1/3 rate of people who don't survive from blood cancers, just talking about all the blood cancers, not lymphoma in general, they have taken out a huge portion of money to help fund different programs to help the people. And now that I talked about what it is, I wanted to talk about some treatment options if people do get diagnosed. So from Armitage Therapy and it's like Therapy and Something 2011, it talks about the different cases of radiotherapy and chemotherapy that are available. And it started off with cases of radiotherapy and then going into chemotherapy, so it was a 2-part system, but now they're just focusing on the chemotherapy part of it. And from the Lymphoma Foundation, there's no author or date for that one either. It talked about how in early stages, so it's a slow moving non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, it's not curable yet, but since it is so slow moving that patients can survive for up to 20 years after they are diagnosed. And even the diagnosis doesn't come after like a couple years of the symptoms, which are very, very light. So it doesn't really hit you for a while, so that's like a really good one to have. And that's pretty much it. So now to recap, I talked about what lymphoma is, who the Lymphoma Society is, or the Leukemia Lymphoma Society is and what they do, and a couple of treatment options for those who are diagnosed. I wanted to talk about this because it is a problem that affects so many young people, and I just kind of wanted to talk about the treatment options that are available if people were ever diagnosed. And if you wanted to donate to the cause, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is a great one to donate to. You can do it right on the charitynavigator.com. And thank you so much.